Brimson. Care for a rub down?
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Something special is about to happen.
Are you waiting to receive my limp penis?
Very aroused.
It's better than later.
Let's do this!
That is incredible! That is unbelievable! That is brilliant!
Yeah, g'day rubbers. Welcome back to the Weekly Rubdown, a podcast that rubs down everything NRL Supercoach. You are listening to the 5-8 Rubdown. I'm your host, Natty, the triple champion. And with me, as always, riding shotgun here in the Rubmobile is the Stats Daddy. Look at the Weasel. What's going on, brother?
Hey, long time no speak. Jeez,
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of your face, if I'm honest. Like, Jesus. We were only on yesterday doing the halfback. It was actually a good chat, so wasn't the worst in the world, but yeah, it's been good. Definitely learning a lot more on the positions as we go through, and this one isn't one that I was terribly excited about. I'm going to be brutally honest, and I've just spilt fucking wine everywhere.
Here we go. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. This is good gear. Now, for everyone listening at home, Wooker has just disappeared from the screen. What's... What a dunce. What an absolute dunce.
That could not have gone worse.
What have you done?
I just spilt like a full glass of wine all over the keyboard and everything.
Jesus. How long have you been drinking for before we started recording?
Well, I'd barely taken a drink. I hadn't had anything. This is my first drink of the night.
How often does this happen when you spill something during a podcast? And the answer to it is too often.
Yeah, well, too often for my drinking ability, that's for sure. Oh, man.
You all right, sweetheart?
Nah, she's all good. She's all good. Everything's just a little bit moist and not in the way that I like it.
Fantastic start. Fantastic. Like this, if this isn't an omen to how good this fucking 5-8 podcast is going to be, I don't know what is. Because, like you said, not looking forward to this one. This is the highs and lows of podcasting, people. Halfback was a very interesting chat. Now we're talking about 5-8. And before we even talk about a player, Walker has dropped his fucking wine, his vino, all over his keyboard. And, yeah, it's a fantastic start.
Yep. It's not the best of starts, but it can only go up from here.
Right, I'm going to pour myself a drink, and I'm not going to spill a fucking drop of it. I'm on the Beggar's Banquet tonight.
Ooh, fill the listeners in. What's in a Beggar's Banquet?
Beggar's Banquet, people, is you want to start with a frosted glass, big fuck off beer glass, and you want to chuck. In a mixer, you want to chuck 2 shots of your favorite bourbon. Mm-hmm. Then you want to chuck in a shot of lemon juice. Then half a shot of maple syrup. Put some ice in that shaker. Shake that bad boy up. And then pour it into a glass, into your frosted beer glass. And then top it up with your favorite ale. In my case, VB. It sounds horrific, but it's fantastic. It is my favorite cocktail. Obviously, I'm a huge beer drinker, so it's a cocktail that's beer.
It's a cocktail made for the beer drinker. What's that one that it's a Michelada or whatever? They're quite good with the cocktail with the beer on the top.
Anything with beer. So you've got 2 shots of bourbon plus a beer. That will get the engines nice and warm. Trust me. Couple of Beggar's Banquets, and you are on the dance floor. You are on the fucking dance floor, babe. So yeah, give it a try. It's my favorite cocktail.
Oh, there you go.
Yummity yum yum yum. Now, this podcast is brought to you by the Rub Club, aka the Weekly Rubdown Patreon, as all of the Rubdowns are. Get on over there, $8 a month at the moment for all your pre-season gear. As I keep saying, if you want the best statistical backup for your study, for your Supercoach sides, whether that be draft or classic, the Rub Club is the place to be. Play your cover charge and stay in there as long as you want and rip it up because it's fucking happening in there. Ranks as far as the eye can see. We've ranked fucking everyone and their misses in there. It's done. Everyone and their missus and their fucking dog ranks up to wazoo. We've got all the stat porn you'll ever need. And of course, everything in there is building towards the rub files that will be out very, very soon. And that is going to be your Bible for your Supercoach study, especially for your draft study, getting ready for Christmas Day, aka your draft day. So, yep, get in there. And look, if you listen to the podcast, if you follow us on Instagram, if you like what we do and you think we deserve to keep doing it, that's the best way to support us. Get on over there, pay the cover charge, and keep the lights on in the Rub Club.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I've got that little spiel down to fine art, haven't I?
You have. It rolls off the tongue.
Now, let's get into a 5-star sledge. If you want to be part of the Rubbers League, aka the Listeners League for 2026, where Wook and we run a team together, and then there's 9 of you rubbers in there as well. Rubbers League, we mirror the Loveless League. It's fucking fantastic. I think it's the 4th year that we'll be doing it. If you take it out, you'll get a couple of bottles, a few cartons of your favorite drink, whatever poison you want, and obviously bragging rights that you did indeed beat the best in the business. It's pretty easy to do. We don't even get close to winning this thing.
Well, we give away all our tips. That's the problem.
That's true. So you have to be a subscriber, and you have to be the top 9 sledges coming in. So we've got one from a past champion, Hito.
Oh, Hito. I think he's a double champion, actually.
I'm sure he's about to tell us about it, bro. Don't worry.
This would be good.
In 2022, I joined a Supercoach Draft Podcast Listener League, beady-eyed and baby-faced. I left the league that year with with hair on my chest, my breath stunk of alcohol, a weird love affair with Blake Laurie, and most importantly, a championship. I won't lie, I lost my way, I got cocky, I got arrogant, I lost the art of the sledge, and for 2 years I was on the street fighting for my spot back in the league to defend my title. In 2025, I defended my championship, and I left 2025 as a 2-time weekly rubdown listener league winner. Catches in 2026, gents, 3-time champ out. Love Hito.
Ooh, calling himself the 3-time champ before he
Got a
even
lot of
gets it.
sledging going on in there, Hito. Now, I'll do some sledging. Hito, aka Tick Attack, or Tickets, or Receipts, as we like to call him, and he's backed it up with that sort of carry on, is why we call him Receipts, because God, he likes to tell you what's gone on in the past. He brings receipts. He's got them in spades. So Receipts, we'll see how you go. Poor Wooker's smelling all of his keyboards and things over there. Everything smells of wine.
It honestly does. I'm not even joking.
You kind of do smell like stale wine anyway, though.
Yeah, you smell like sour milk. So, look, we all smell like something.
Oh,
you were going to say something, so I had that preloaded.
What a start. All right, have we got any news? Anything that's happened in the last 12 hours since we fucking did one of these things?
No, I don't think the new. Actually, yes, there is some news. By the time most people listen to this, you'll already see, but I am hearing from a few little birdies that Supercoach site opens up tomorrow.
Ooh.
So always good, and look, we always expected.
I got a boner.
We always expected in the lead up to Australia Day, and that's why we kind of timed the rub files for around about that Australia Day sort of launch. So looking like we're getting in a little bit early, which I'm not disappointed in the slightest.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait to dig my teeth into that bad boy. Wook and I were talking about this earlier today. It's been a while since we've done a Draft 101 podcast, so we might film us setting up the Loveless League and do a bit of screen sharing and go through the ins and outs, the what have yous of how you set up your draft league, the settings, go through all the things that you can set up with your league, just to give people a bit of an insight into how to set up a league. For those of you who are giving it a go, or if you're rookies, that'll be something to listen to. We did do one maybe 3 or 4 years ago, so it's probably time to update that bad boy.
Definitely.
But yeah, Draft 101 potty or video coming very, very soon. All right, bro. Well, should we rip the Band-Aid off and just get into these 5/8s?
Unfortunately, it's not going to do itself, is it?
No. Let's rub them. Let's rub them.
Walker with a duck, and now a run. Walker, he scores!
Clever girl.
Nice job. Let's get you a rub down.
All right, 5/8. Talk to me, Wook. What are we looking for here? Just a good one, I guess.
Look, at the end of the day, we're looking very similar to what we're looking at for halfbacks. So you want to be looking for a guy who plays on the attacking side, the dominant attacking side for the team that they play in. You want to play in a team that is an attacking team. You want a solid floor to work from, and it's more important for 5/8s to have a solid floor because they typically have a lower ceiling. You want heavy try involvements and line break involvements. And look, you want them to really kind of run the show, be more of the Batman than the Robin, because we know that in the halves, sometimes the 5/8 runs the show from a Supercoach scoring perspective, but other teams, it's definitely a Batman Robin situation. The goal kicking, as with the halfback, it's a massive positive, but it's not an absolute necessity because we've seen with players like Moneybags, he doesn't need a goal kick, and when he does, his scores go down. So yeah, there's very similar, but what we're seeing, and we'll talk about this at length through the pod, is the quality is just not there. There's depth in the position, but there's no quality in the position. So yeah, getting the high ends. You look at if you look at the draft chart, for example, when that comes out, you'll get a first peek of that in the rub files. We don't even touch 5/8 until we get to pick 20 at least. So just kind of goes to show the value of the other positions. So fullback, halfback, CT dubs, we already got like half a dozen players each. So it's definitely one of those positions that I think you can definitely wait on. And look, it's definitely one that I wouldn't be rushing into.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as I was sort of going through the study with 5/8, obviously there's a few guys that tickle my taint and I'm a little bit excited about, but it is a position that I am going to push way, way back to the end of the draft and sort of pick up some scraps and see where value lies sort of post round 10. So there's a few guys that I'll talk about tonight that I usually wouldn't talk about just because in my mind, I won't be going for some of these tier 1, tier 2, maybe even tier 3 guys. I'll be more just picking up the best of a really bad bunch and doing my best. And if that doesn't work out, probably looking to just flick them an AE the position because, yeah, guys, we've done the study, we've done the deep dive, and it is a fucking disgusting position. It is very, very similar to hooker, and like we said sort of before we got into the positional analysis podcast, it's out of hooker or 5/8. One of them's going to fall by the wayside, and there's a huge chance that you just won't have one of them.
Yeah, a lot of it will depend on how your draft goes. In some circumstances, there might be a run on hookers, and in that circumstance, maybe you just let that slide, the position. Don't get sucked into it. You don't want to be the one left holding the bag and having to play Tricky Trindle week in, week out. Knowing what he can put on the field, and in a lot of circumstances, when when you're relying on him to get a score above, say 40, he'll drop a 20. So,
fucking nice. Ew. All right, let's talk about the top 5/8s coming out of 2025. So we had Cameron Munster at number 1 with a 70 average. Alexander Brimson, AJ Brimson at a 66 average, number 2. Number 3, Daly Cherry Evans, a 63 average. Number 4, Ethan Strange, a 62 average. Cody Nicarima, 61 average at number 5. Number 6, Blaze Talangi at a 59 average. Number 7, Matty Burton at a 57 average. Number 8, Jackson Purdue at a 57 average. Number 9, Chanel Harris-Tavita at a 55 average. And Sandon Smith, number 10, at a 52 average. So as you can see there, guys, even that list is a little bit fucking scary. So we get into...
Not a single player over 70.
Now, let's talk about the rough rub ranks. And of course, these ranks are fluid. They will change. They might even change tonight, which is what happened in the Halfback podcast. We changed some ranks on the fly when we were talking about JC because the hard-ons that we both had at that point, we had to stand up and take notice of the blood that was pumping through our members. And JC got a nice little bump up there in our rankings. So that might happen tonight in the 5-8 rankings. But at the moment, this is how we see them. We've got Mad Dog Munster at number 1, number 2, AJ Brimson, number 3, DCE, number 4, Fletcher Sharp, number 5, Cody Nicarima, number 6, Blaze Talangi, number 7, Matt Burton, number 8, Ethan Strange, 9, Jackson Purdue, and number 10, Ezra Mam. What's your thoughts on that top 10? Do you see any movement? Do you see any concerns about how it stands at the moment?
Yeah, so the one piece of movement that I do see, and look, it's to do with a positional shift. Fletcher Sharp, he may be a little bit too high on this list. A lot of chatter that he'll be starting on the left wing spot, taking the place of Marju. So I prefer him in the halves from a Supercoach scoring perspective. I feel like it's going to be increasingly difficult to achieve that 75 average from the wing spot, but we do know that it's a pretty stacked left edge, so could be on the end of a fair few attacking raids.
Yeah, and looking at that list as well, there's a few candidates that sort of when you look at their average coming off last year, they throw up some red flags of regression just because of how they performed last year. You know, Cam Munster with a 70 average, can he repeat that? Cody Nicarima had a huge fucking season. Ethan Strange had a massive season as well. No Jamal Fogarty. Ezra Mam came back from his suspension and played really well. So a lot of these guys that we've got in the top 10 have red flags around them, which just makes this fucking position so much harder. And I'm sure as we go through it, there's going to be a lot of negative points coming out when we talk about these guys because, I mean, that's just where we're at. And it was the same thing with the hook position. It was more or less with every hooker, we were talking about why you shouldn't draft them high or why you shouldn't reach for them. And it's kind of the same with the 5'8" position, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a position like I mentioned at the outset. It's definitely a position you don't have to reach too far on. And to be honest, the payback isn't there like in other positions. So if you reached for like a halfback or a fullback, your payoff is typically going to be a bit higher. I just don't see massive progression in the scoring of many of these players. Like a lot of them, like even, for instance, Matty Burton, potentially he can be a 70-point player, but he needs to get the goal kicking and he needs to have a quality season. Both of those facts are unknowns at this point. Jackson Purdue, like we've seen him absolutely light it up when he plays in the halves. Where's he going to play? And then there's a few wild cards like Jonah Pezzett. He could have an absolute crack of a season. Same with Sandon Smith if he picks up the goal kicking. He could squeeze his way in the top 10. Cody Walker, we've seen what he can do in the past, but look, he's got old legs at the moment. Cue about 1,000 fucking calf injuries this season. I don't know. It's the quality just drops off a cliff very quickly.
And when you compare it to the halfback position, in comparison, because obviously we've just talked about the halfbacks when we're saying that 9 averaged over 60. So you had 9% of the top 100 being halfbacks, and all 9 pumped out, decent scores. With the 5'8" position, they had a similar output in the top 100, but most of those guys sat in the back 50, where the halfbacks, the majority of them sat in the top 50.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the position you want to be selling your soul on.
100%. But let's just get into it anyway, because we fucking have to. We'll do our best to make this one as entertaining as possible. The elite guys, this will be real quick.
The elite. Best of the best.
I got a boner.
Yeah, this is a good chance to talk about a question that we got today. Someone was saying you talk a lot about 10-man leagues, and I think Bobby asked, can you talk about picks that are in an 8-man league? We do. So when I say elite picks, I'll say picks 1 to 10 which is round 1 in a 10-man league. Same when we go through guns, I'll say picks 11 to 30, and that's round 2 to 3 in a 10-man league. But you'll have to do the maths yourself if you're an 8-man league, because pick 15 is pick 15 no matter if you're in an 8-man league, a 10-man league, or a 12-man league, or a 14. It's still pick 15.
Yep.
So I'll always talk about picks as well as the round if you're in a 10-man league, because that's the most common size for leagues. So I just want to clear that up for Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And no elite picks. No one in the top 10. Surprise, fucking surprise. Let's get into the guns.
Guns. Lots of guns.
Mr. Burgundy, you have a massive erection.
So picks 11 to 30, rounds 2 to 3 in a 10-man league, looking for at least a 60 plus out of these guys. We've got Cameron Munster, AJ Brimson, and Daly Cherry Evans. These are your tier 1 guys, and then it drops off a fucking cliff after these 3. I'll tell you that much. I will kick it off here. I'm going to talk about our boy Mad Dog. We're big Mad Dog fans.
Been big on Mad Dog for years.
We love the money. We fucking love the money. Now, he's come off a very good season. Had a 70 average, only scored 2 tries, and that he's had at least 5 tries for the past 4 years before that, so it's a little bit down on his try-scoring output there for 2025. He did have 23 assists, though, and that's the most he's had in his career, and I think that came down to his combination and his connection with Xavier Coates, and I think we talked about that in the last podcast, the one before that, how the Storm, they just worked out a formula, and that was kicking to Coates on every single fucking play. And that worked. And I honestly, I think that's going to be a big part of the formula for their attack in 2026 as well. Now, it is a 70 average, which is always going to be hard to replicate. I think there is room for growth, though, even if it's a little bit of growth. No Papi, no Katoa. I feel like this left is going to be the dominant side. I think the kick from Munster to Coates is going to be on like Donkey Kong. And I think Munster maybe just takes complete ownership of this side in 2026. This might be the year where we really see him just go, give me the fucking keys. I'm going to be doing everything. Now, the finals strength of schedule is absolute dog shit. However, we've talked about this with Munster. It's the inverse. You want Munster coming up against tough opposition because he actually plays better against tougher opposition. It's almost like when they're playing poor defenses, he comes in mentally like, you know what? I can take a back seat. The boys have got this. We're sweet. Whereas when Storm are up against a good team and he wants to test himself and it's a must-win game, boys, get out of the way. I got this.
He takes him on the back and takes him on the journey. Yeah, for sure.
And so a 76 versus the Broncos in round 27, a 79 versus the Dogs in round 25, 2 of the best defensive sides coming out of 2025. That's a quick example of how he can go big in those tough games. This is probably more a bit of a vibe go for me. I feel good about Cam Munster for 2026.
Yeah.
I think he can, I'm not saying fuck he's going to average 80, and I'll be happy if he averaged 70, and I'll probably draft him at a 70 average, but I've just got a feeling in my loins that this could be a really good Cam Munster season, that this could be a big Mad Dog season. What's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I think like the loss of Papi, the loss of Nas, and the loss of Eli Katoa, it does work in the favour of that narrative that it is going to be a big season for Munster. So yeah, he's definitely one that's on my radar. I've had him in my classic side for a little bit just because of the shitty options at 5'8", if I'm honest. But look, to start the season, he does have a tougher strength of schedule, but like you said, does not matter. Especially with money, you want him to have a tougher or at least a mid-range strength of schedule because, yeah, he just goes missing in those easy games versus the Titans or Tigers.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. And I think he also comes under that category of he's a chub rub. He's a guy you enjoy owning. When he's got the ball under his wing and he's just holding blokes off and he's offloading and he's tackle breaking at will, just a fun guy to own Real like sort of fuck you when you've got Cam Munster. And when I come up against guys that own Cam Munster, I'm always a little bit worried because he does have those supersonic games when he's in a mood. And when he's in a mood, those scores really do start fucking piling up.
Yeah, for
sure. And it's always a worry. And it's always good if you've got the guy that's striking fear in your league.
Yeah. And like the thing that I like most about money is it's that base power average. So it does give you that awesome floor to work from. 45.1. It's like when you look at the next closest, 39.3. So streets
Huge.
ahead. You're already working from there. He's an attack-minded player who underperformed to a degree with try scoring last season. There's a lot of uptick potential there. You just have to navigate that round 24 bye.
Yes. Yeah, that's a tough one. That is, and we're talking about a guy that you're going to have to take relatively early, at least within your first 3 picks.
Probably round 3 is where you want to be targeting him.
And then, yeah.
In a 10-man league. So picks 20 to 30.
And you think someone in your halfback spot is hard to replace if you use one of your first 3 picks. Someone that you pick in your 5'8" spot in your first 3 picks is impossible.
Yeah.
To fill that gap.
And look, one of your strategies could be to go a Munster and then go a tad early on someone like a Purdue, who's centre 5'8". Use the duels to your advantage in that case.
Yeah, that is a good, a very good look at, and also maybe a Sandon Smith in your hooker spot or something like that as well. Yeah. Just use those duels 100%, bro, especially because duels are just so hard to come by. I don't know if Walker's mentioned that so far in the podcasts.
I'm speaking from the heart, my friend. Speaking from the heart.
All right, brother. Who you got next?
I've got Brimo. AJ Brimson. Look, new coach. He's locked into the halves now with Foreign gone. Look, there's a bit of chatter that he might actually start in the centres because they have lost a little bit of depth in the centre position. But look, I don't mind where he's playing. I obviously prefer him in the halves. Really prefer him at fullback, if brutally honest. But if he does go into the centres, you obviously pick up the duel. They're an attack-minded team, so he will go searching for the ball. We know what the type of player he is. Look, he scored 12 tries last season. He only had 1.4 try involvements per game, though. So I do think that if he is playing in the halves, and we really need to see trials to make sure that that's the case, I think there is a bit of uptick in there, and we know how good that strength of schedule is for the Titans, not just for the run home into the finals, but also for the start of the season. So, like, I've got half a mind to start with him with Campbell. In classic.
Yeah, fair.
The problem is, like, I do want a bit of Peasant and I do want a bit of Walker for value, but I mean, we'll talk about it in classic corner in the main potty, but yeah, there's a lot of moving parts in that position, that's for sure.
Yeah, AJ Brimson is definitely interesting. He had a 66 average for 2025, but he only averaged 54 when playing at 5'8". So a little bit of a drop off there when the 6 is on his back. However, that was early on in the season when JC was finding his feet at halfback. And like I talked about with JC in the halfback podcast, I think he comes into this season a lot more confident as being, the guy. Yeah, the big dick and having confidence to lead this Titans team around the park, which will free AJ Brimson up to do what he does best, which is just run the ball and take the line on. Yeah, interesting. I've always been a little bit adverse to AJ Brimson because he's been up and down. But again, the strength of schedule for the Titans in the finals is amazing. And this spine for the Titans is going to be settled. You would think everyone comes in and gets a nice little pump. He has the potential to be... he has the potential, if they keep him at 6 all year, to have a career year and to have a 70-point average. So the potential is there. I just have some reservations about AJ Brimson, and that just might be past experiences coming into it and sort of clouding my judgment on AJ Brimson.
Yeah.
But yeah, the potential is definitely there.
Yeah, the potential is there. It's just it is a bit of a risk with the uncertainty with what position he actually lands on. The new coach, which means new attacking systems and everything else. Like, we don't necessarily know the Titans side that's going to be running out from like how they're going to play. We've seen like Josh Haney's systems a little bit more defensive minded than Titans have been in the past. We didn't see enough of that in seasons gone by. We all thought that was going to be the case with Hasler, getting a bit more of a hard edge on their defense, but
I didn't.
Never came into fruition.
I don't care who comes in there to coach the Titans. They will be a poor defensive side until they give me a full season where I have data to look at and go, okay, they did actually defend well and they were a tough team to play. They need to give me a full season of that. Until that happens, they are a shit team in defense because they've given me 6 seasons of it back to back.
For sure. And look, they've got a lot of attacking weapons. They haven't had enough people come to the side that are really strong defenders. And they've had like a rotating piece on their edges as well. Like they haven't had much stability in the side. So hopefully that does change running into this season, and they do have some consistent combinations, defensive combinations that can assist in that. But yeah, I think that's really talking to what they need, and they need a bit of stability in the lineup, specifically in the spine, because they've had a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of like changing of players and everything else. If they can just get a bit of stability in there, have a bit of luck with injuries, I think they're in for a big season.
In real life, that's what they need. For Supercoach, continue being a poor defensive side, please.
Oh, absolutely.
Because then they're chasing points. Then they're playing backyard footy. Then they're chancing their arm. Then they're putting the grubber in when they should. Then they're chip kicking over the top. Just continue being a shit defensive side and leaking a lot of points so that Jaden Campbell has to go into fucking Jaden Campbell Superman mode and just rip teams to shreds. So for Supercoach, I hope they continue their Titan ways.
I don't think a team that has Kinney, Brimo, and JC in their spine can do anything but attack. But look, they've got Tino, they've got Fermor, they've got a number of players who are good on their own, individually defensive players. They just need to defend as a team more often. That's the thing.
Yep. All right, next guy here, Daly Cherry Evans. He's going to be my Chub Rub, a guy that I would dive into very deeply in the Player in Focus exclusive rub down that'll be available over on the Rub Club later on tonight. So if you want to get some backroom rubs, some real specialty stuff, we don't talk a lot about what happens back there. You have to be a Rub Club subscriber, but I will be talking about Daly Cherry Evans. And who are you talking about, bro?
I'll be talking. Who am I talking about?
Yeah, who are you talking about?
That's a great question.
Blaze Talangi.
Blaze Talangi.
Yep.
So look, I do think that there's a lot of uptick there in Blaze Talangi. Yeah, there's a few detractors in there as well. I do think he's in for a career year, but some big detractors that I'll be talking about later.
Nice little suck fest over there for DCE and Blaze Talangi. So if you want to sink your teeth into those 2 5/8s, you're going to have to sign up to the Rub Club, $8 a month, like I said earlier. Or see you DGens in there. But let's get on to the next category here for the 5/8s, and that is the sweet spot.
That's your sweet spot right there.
Oh my God.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Fuck yeah.
Sweet spot. Picks 31 to 70. Rounds 4 to 7 in a 10-man league. We've got guys like Fletcher Sharp, Cody Nikorima, Blaze Talangi, Matt Burton, Ethan Strange, Jackson Purdue, Ezra Mam, Chanel Harris-Tavita. This is sort of your meat and potato section for the 5/8s. And honestly, this is the most irrelevant section of 5/8s for me. I just let all these motherfuckers slide past and then sort of pop my head up in the bargain basement because I want to do
more value in other positions.
I want to do my work in the 2RF and CTWs here between 4 and 7.
Well,
There's lots of work
and,
to be had.
and a few front row forwards as well.
Wouldn't go that far, but maybe the
Not a
back
few,
end of the
maybe
sweet
one,
spot.
maybe one.
Maybe one. Right, bro. Talk to me. Who you gonna get into here?
There's a few I'll talk about, but Fletcher Sharp, he's definitely one that that needs to be mentioned, needs to be spoken about. I mean, on the basis of what he did last season, like he was in everything for those 14 games. 74.7 average. You bump that up to 76.5 when you take out injury-affected games. So, look, the big question mark is new coach, new system, similar to what we were talking about with Bruno, but there is a positional shift that potentially is on the cards with Fletcher Sharp moving to the left wing spot. So you would expect him to have more attacking opportunities for try scoring, but a lot less in creating and evasion. So, look, it swings and roundabouts. I think he gets so much in attack with his hands on the ball. He's going to really, really suffer from losing that. I mean, he had 50% of his games were over 80 points last season. Like that in itself is just like freaking outrageous. Has an incredible backing up game. And I think he was one of the key factors as to why Ponga was going so poor last season at the start of the year as well, because all the little crumbs and the scraps around the ruck that Ponga would usually snap up and score some points from, that was Sharp. It was Sharp getting those loose balls. It was Sharp getting the offloads and Sharp getting those cheap Supercoach points. So I think the detraction for Sharp is going to be a massive uptick for Ponga. He's definitely someone that I'm keen on as a result of this. But yeah, I think Fletcher Sharp, he's probably one that I'd actually be looking to possibly push, if we get some certainty over the positional shift, pushing him down a few positions in this rankings.
Yeah, and I remember like doing the Chase Losses podcast with Rando and just blindly taking Fletcher Sharp as a roughie, because it was usually over that sort of $2.80 at most points throughout the season. But because he's a Johnny on the spot type operator, the ball seems to bounce his way. He's always backing up at some point. He just scored a lot of tries through opportunistic scenarios.
Yep.
That's not going to happen when he's out on the edge, right? That was only happening because he was backing up through the middle.
Yep.
So you've got to cut all of that out. I will say this, though. In 2024, when he did play wing, he averaged 76. Now, if I'm sure he's not going to average 76, but he does have that in him, especially if he is going to play wing and he is going to play on that left edge. And we've talked about this Knights left edge and how sexy it looks personnel-wise. There's no reason that he can't put a very sexy Supercoach season together. He does have, the decent base to go along with it. He's a great finisher. I'm sure he's going to do a lot of work coming out of trouble. But yeah, hard to back up that 75 average when he was playing at 6 in the 2025 season. So in that instance, he's definitely a bust.
He'll
get overdrafted.
I don't 100% get overdrafted. I don't even know if he's got like a solid base to work from. Like you look at what he did last season, he had a base power average of 28. So that especially from fullback, that spells a little bit of concern for me. So yeah, I've got him as I would have him as a bit of a bust as well. But look, realistically, you could do a lot worse just depending on what position he lands on. If he ends up playing in the halves, all of a sudden I'm keen again, and all of a sudden I'm looking even closer because he's got that round 27 bye, and the whole thing about the round 27 bye is if you're on a round 25 or 26 grand final system, you've only got to negotiate 2 byes through the season. You've got an extra game to play compared to other 5/8s, so there is that benefit there.
Just goes to show you that how bad this position is. Like it was poor. It was poor before, like things like this happened. But then, Sharp, he moves out to the wing, and then there's a guy, a high octane tier 1 guy that now we have to drop in our ranks.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about Matty Burton here, coming off a 57 average. He's my boom. in the 5'8" section here. Pretty disappointing year from Matty Burton. He dropped 9 points from the previous season. He did have a spell from goal kicking. He kicked goals in 9 games. Critter kicked goals in 17 games. So Burton, 26 attempts for 85%. Critter, 72 attempts for 79%.
Yeah, at 4.2 points per game from goals.
Now, over the past 3 years, Burto is averaging 81. That's 3 years, 81% strike rate. Are we sure he loses it? He does have a better goal kicking percentage than Critter when you're looking at their career kicks.
And like to add fuel to that fire, would you prefer to have like Critter in the huddle going
He's
into
the captain.
Next set? No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Going into the next set, or do you want Burton? Like 100%. I know Burton sometimes calls the play, well, often calls the plays, but I mean, I'd want a rev up from Critter more than.
Well, he's the motivator, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, more than Burton. So maybe that is a decision that they'll have to make.
And then I thought, why did he lose the goal kicking? So I went back and he did get an injury to his knee early on in the season. Now, did that play a role in him not having the goal kicking? Because that's really the only answer I can come up with on why he actually had the goal kicking taken off him. Because it wasn't because Critter's a better goal kicker, because it just isn't statistically true. So all of a sudden I'm like, okay, maybe we're not so sure that Critter kicks in 2026. So he had a 59 average in 80-minute games. So there's a couple of points bump there already when you just look at the full games. 6 tries, which is 3 less than the previous year. So he can do better and try scoring potential there for 2026. Only 4 assists.
Oh.
Which was 9 less than the previous year.
Wow.
So 50 set to manage a 57 where you're scoring less tries, scoring less assists, had the goal kicking taken off you, all of a sudden you're like, actually did pretty fucking well to get that 57 average. So there is heaps of room for improvement. Now, even if he doesn't get the goal kicking, I honestly still think he can get into the 60s. I still think he can put 4 to 5 points on that average from last year.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Now, if he reclaims the goal kicking, there's a chance he can be a 70 average 5'8" all of a sudden. He has a really good strength of schedule. He has a top strength of schedule for left halves in all 3 final series. So in the round 25 grand final series, he has, so the Dogs have the 7th best. He's got the 4th best for left halves. In round 26 grand final series, Dogs have the 4th best. He has the best strength of schedule for left halves. In round 27, Dogs have the 4th best. And he has the 5th best amongst left halves. So especially that round 26 grand final series, that's delectable, very good. 4-1, we love that, coming up against Manly, South St George, and ending with Penrith on the grand final, which is always a little bit hard. But just when I started looking at that, I was like, only 4 tries and 9 assists? Burto can do heaps better than that. Yeah. Obviously, there was a bit of turmoil in the halves with Galvin coming up, bit of a shake-up, chats on, is Burto going to play center? Is he going to go back to fullback? Is he going to fucking play in the halves? No one fucking knew. So I think he is going to be coming into this season a little bit settled. But there is also chat about, okay, is Mitch Woods going to eventually take over from Burto, which I also like for Burto, which means he needs to work on his CV for his next contract. He needs to put together a very tasty season on tape. So either way, it's either he's settled in the halves and the Dogs are humming and they're in a premiership window because they are, or he's gotten the tap on the shoulder and he just wants to score tries to make his CV look better. So he wants a big contract for his next team. Either way, it has to be a boom season. He has to beat that 57. I think that's an easy call. And I was worried about him early on with Matty Burton. I was like, he's fallen off. But then when you start diving into the numbers, you're like, he actually scraped together a 57 with everything going against him.
Yeah. And like to add more fuel to that fire, out of all but 2 of the 5'8" in this whole top 20 that we're looking at, he had the worst in line break assists, in line break involvements even. So the room for improvement there is massive. And the two people that he beat is Jonah Pezzett and Tyron Wisher, both with like half like off the bench for most of the season. So just goes to show like how much of a down season it was for Matty Burton.
Yeah, and still got 57.
And still got 57. So
yeah, I think Burto's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to put it together this year. And I do like that left edge attack for the Dogs. And I've always liked him running next to Kikau. We saw Bronson Sherry and how good he was at centre. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good season for Matty Burton. I would not be scared of drafting him. I think he'll slip. Honestly, he will slip. He'll have dish soap all over him, and you'll get him for value.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that at all. Look, I'm going to be talking about Blaze Songy a little bit later after this potty, but Cody Nikorima, he is someone that doesn't have a sexy name. He is someone that, look, didn't score a whole bunch of tries. He's got the 8 tries, which is great, but look, he's just a sensational player on that left edge. And they've got some weapons out there. Like they've got Farnworth. They're probably going to have Colbo on that edge. There's a little bit to go in that team. They're going to be on a bit of a roll on, so they're going to be in better attacking field position because they're going to have all their big boppers back. I don't hate him as a pickup. He is a bit of a slider body, so he does get some injuries through the season. Does have a pretty poor base power average, so his floor's not the greatest, but he's just an attacking weapon. And it's not just off the boot. It's passing. It's hitting the line himself and finding gaps. He kind of does it all. So 2.2 try involvements per game last season, 1.5 line break involvements a game last season. 25% of his games last season was over 80 points. Okay, it's going to be hard for him to back up that 61.1 from last season. But look, I think with the side that he's got around him, the fact that the whole side is most likely going to lift because of the cattle that they're getting back. Look, I'd be happy to be drafting him at that 61. I'd even be going to maybe like a 60, 62, 63 sort of average. Anything more, I don't want to be spending that much of the position if I'm brutally honest. But yeah, I'd be going maybe round 6, 5 or 6.
Yeah, just looking at it, the 2.2 try involvements per game and the 1.5 line break assists per game. It's
up there with the highest of all 5'8s.
Yeah, well, it is the highest, isn't it?
It's more than Daly Cherry Evans at halfback, which is huge.
Massive. So, yeah, he had an incredible year. And anytime you've got a half that's playing inside a player that's the caliber of Herbie Farnworth, you're going to get some points off that. So, yeah, I'm not pushing back at all from Cody Nikorima. And like you said, not a sexy Supercoach name either. People aren't going to be taking notice of him.
He could fucking basketball it to Farnworth and be getting try assists. Like it is that ridiculous. So look, the one concern you've got there is he's at the kind of pedestal of attacking output, and that's where I don't know how much more of a ceiling he'd have to improve his average because he's kind of already overachieving from last season. So
yeah, it's like he's at his ceiling right now.
100%. And that's why I wouldn't want to go too much more than like a 62, 63 in value because look, I think he's close to his mark, but I don't think you're going to get hurt from him unless he gets injured.
No, fair. Yeah, and look, I like the Dolphins. I think their attack's going to be good. I think he's going to have fingerprints all over everything that they do well, especially on that left edge. So, yeah, not a lot of detractions, just obviously that red flag of coming off a career year and a chance of regression. But, yeah, just keep that in mind when you do draft him. All right, I will talk about Ethan Strange. Speaking of regression, now the last 10 games of the season for Ethan Strange were huge. He had a 78 average with 3 110-plus games. No Fogarty. I guess that means he's going to have to step up. Now, is that a good thing for his Supercoach average, or is it a bad thing? Like, obviously, with Fogarty at the helm, it just means he can run the ball, and I think that was fantastic for his Supercoach average. I guess the rep chat about him playing is good for his confidence. The big thing I like, and for anyone that's going to be playing in the halves for the Raiders, and this is the traction when Fogarty left, is that they're running behind the best pack in the game. This pack is going to create space for him. Now, he had a couple of real low games early on in the season. I think he cleans those up in 2026 with a little bit of maturity. And if you take those out, it's a 66 average for the year. And that's probably where I've got him pegged at, a sort of around the mid-60s average. The issue is obviously the round 26 bye, which is never helpful. You just obviously hope that Strange slips to a point in the draft where, you know, the price that you're paying for him doesn't mean you won't be able to cover him. So if you get him late enough, it's not a bad call, but you can't reach for a guy that is going to be having a bye in round 26, especially if that's your grand final, because that 5'8" position is going to be very hard to build around and a gap to fill. But I honestly think this could be his breakout year. I think we could see the best of him. He is, and we talked about this with Isaiah Katoa, he's a guy that could break the mold in the sense of like that second year syndrome. He does have the talent behind him to just go strength to strength now for the rest of his career. So I'm keen to just watch him as a rugby league fan. I just love him as a player, and I'm not against drafting him. I just want to draft him for the right price because of obviously no Fogarty being there, and obviously
Rookie
that round 26 bye.
The rookie half as a partner that's really tough on him. Like, does that mean he's going to take on a bit more of an organizational role, which really detracts heavily from his strong running game?
And that's what I'm
and
worried about.
The strong running game is what got him that 62 average last season. Because like you don't get 13 tries from kicking and passing, do you?
No.
So,
and I mean, and this is the thing, like, does he just have another string to his bow in the sense that maybe he does start showing us that he can lay on tries?
Yeah, look,
and that he is that good.
100%.
But there's a lot of question marks around him, and that's why you need to pick him at the right spot. But it's just going to be interesting to see how well he goes in 2026 because I like the cut of his jib. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, like he's definitely a player that I'm really keen to watch this season. He's not on my radar to pick up in either draft or classic, mainly because he's coming off a career year, and I'm already in on a few players coming off career years, so I can't have too many of those in my list because it's going to go tits up for someone.
A lot of cunts coming off career years,
aren't there?
Heaps,
heaps and heaps, hoops and heaps.
Which isn't good.
No, it's not. It makes it really hard because like the music stops with a few of them, and yeah, you're the one left in the left holding the bag.
Yeah. It's like, bro, you promised me that you were going to do what you did last season.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
What is this? And look, another thing to take into account. It's not going to matter too much, but he did kick for a little bit last season, so 0.9 out of his average is from goal kicking last season. So look, you take his 62.5, that comes down to maybe 61.5. So another thing to kind of just take into consideration there when you're trying to assign value to him.
For sure. And I mean, if he's not a bad goal kicker and it doesn't work out with Ethan Sanders, maybe he gets the goal kicking.
Yeah, for sure. So look, it's stranger things have happened. Yeah, I think they're really going to struggle without Fogarty. The one thing that like Strange and the Raiders have in their favour is they've got the best pack of any team. So the platform that's going to be laid, you could almost be playing in the halves and they'd go, all right.
I totally agree with that point. It's almost like I just said it.
Oh, did you? I wasn't even listening.
You're still cleaning up the wine off your lap.
Quite literally.
All right, bro. Who you got next?
It's a bit soggy. Jackson Purdue. He's definitely one that, look, whether he's playing in the centres or whether he's playing in the halves, he just has something about him. 14 tries last season. You could almost classify it as a career year again. 21% of his games were over 80 points. 1%. And look, he played the full boat of games as well. So look, I'm low-key pretty excited about what he can put on the field. The fact that he's CTW and 5'8" dual, even more excited. He's the type of player that you can go and do a double whammy on like a Jackson Purdue and a Sandon Smith or maybe a Jonah Pezzett or someone like that. Not spending the world, but you're covering positions and you're not losing out because you can play them both if you need to. So you're not wasting that bench position. So it gives you a bit of injury protection. I'm actually loving that as a play. If you miss out on Purdue, you can have a stab at Sandon Smith, who we'll talk about a little bit later. I think there's a lot of value to be had in Purdue.
And so where are we thinking he lines up? Does he take up that 5'8" spot?
Look, there's been a lot of chatter that he will be playing in the halves. So he's in a lot of the preseason training. He's been lining up in the halves. They had the Cowboys had a post on Instagram where they assigned each of the positions to certain players. He was in both the halves and in the backs. So look, we don't 100% know where he's going to go. That helps no one, but it does suggest that he is one of the guys being considered. And look, it's between him and Clifford. Let's be fair. But the beauty is, if you go at him, he ends up in the centers. He's not going to fall away from a 57. So I think you're getting him at value anyway. I think he's going to be even better after another preseason, another year under his belt against men. Look, I think it's like he's almost like I was an absolute pubic hair away from putting him as my boom. I just have a few other players that I think are in for a big season.
Yeah, he is interesting. Seasons. And obviously the chat about Tom Chester playing center, that's obviously goes hand in hand.
Really good for Purdue because it makes it sound like, yeah,
he's going to play 5'8",
100.
He did average 52 at 5'8". It was only over 6 games though.
Yes.
But with that, he only scored the 2 games. We scored 2 games over 100. One was in the centers, one was in 5'8". So we know that he can go big in 5'8". Fuck, this kid's got some wheels too. So when you're talking about guys backing up, especially for someone that's now going to be playing more into the middle of the field, playing 6, when you have Scotty Drinkwater slice through or you've got Tommy Dearden to slice through, mate, Jackson Purdue, he's the quickest bloke at that club. Yeah. And you might get some try time there from him backing up. So I don't mind it. And that CTW 5'8" dual is just fucking gold, baby.
Yeah. The big detractor for him is that round 25 bye.
All Cowboys.
It hurts so much. So not the red Sharpie hurts, but it makes me hesitate to bring him in. So the fact that he's dual and you've got the opportunity to then pick up someone like a Sandon Smith or another 5'8", it does soften the blow a fair bit.
And just with his name and that average, I don't think he'll be getting taken very early. So it's a value pick. It's a later pick. It's someone that you can probably fill when it gets time to him sitting down on the pine for that bye.
100%, mate.
All right, bro. Last one here we want to talk about is Ezra Mam. He's my bust. And Mam,
Bust from a 60.
Yep, I've never been big on Mammy. 60 was huge for him. Huge emotional return last year. That type of motivation to perform can't be harnessed again. And I said it when on this podcast when we were talking about waiver wire pickups. I was like, Ezra Mam is going to come back. And for me to say this as an Ezra Mam hater, for me to say that he's going to come back and he's going to fucking rip and tear was huge. And he did. He absolutely did. He had a 128 points on his return. But then he backed it up with a 41-point game with a try. And I went, oh, he's quickly back to his old ways, old Ezra Bam. Now, he was very impressive, don't get me wrong. But I think he drops an average about 5 points, back to that sort of 55, maybe a 54. What we know that he's normally doing, he'll score tries, but there'll be no line breaks, no tackle breaks, nothing else attached to those tries, because he'll just be backing up Reece Walsh or a line break from someone over on that left edge. You've just got to think that how good he looked on that return was all inner motivation to silence the haters, to come back with a bang. And like I said, you cannot harness that motivation again. He just won't have it.
I think it might carry into this season. Like, there was a lot of noise, and like there's a lot of people still talking about the crash and all that jazz.
But we saw him come back to earth 2 games later, or 1 game later. So he had that motivation for that 1 game, then came out and put a 41-point game on.
You look at what he did in the grand final, and like he can have that level of motivation consistently. And look, you take out his injury affected games, that average jumps up to 66.
Yeah, so bust 100%.
No. I'm not disputing the bust call. I'm just saying that like it was a cracker of a season from him.
And when you look at like outliers, and this is what I like to look at, I go, okay, how has he gone over the past seasons? 55, 52, 51, 60? Doesn't quite go into what he's consistently been doing in past seasons. So I look at that and I go, that's an outlier. And why is that an outlier? I've put it down to that high emotional motivation coming back from that suspension. So 60, even though it seems low, it actually is quite high for Ezra Mam and what he's been able to put out over the last 5 years. So I think he'll probably return to that mid-50s. Is it a huge bust? No, but just don't draft him at that 60.
No. Look, he's definitely the type of player that he's got a low base power, so his floor is always a concern. He can drop a 15 to 20 as easy as he can drop a 70. Look, picking him up is a risky play. Pairing him up with someone like a Jackson Purdue, maybe not as much of a risky play. The concern is you're using some pretty high picks to get them both. And I don't want to be spending that at the 5'8" spot.
And the issue I've always had with Mam is in a 1-try game, you could be looking at a 50-point game. And you go and you think to yourself, what? I just saw him cross for a try. He should be on 70. And it just never happens for him, right? Even like, so you had a 1-try game of 41. He had a 1-try game, even with a try assist, it was the 64. He had a 2-try game with a try contribution, 92. These should be like 110-point games. So it just always is a little bit lower than your expectation when he scores tries. And it's usually put because, like I said, the tries that he scores, they have nothing attached to them. It's just literally the 17 points he gets for the try. And it's always like a thing when people sort of look at him in the eye test and they go, he just must be scoring so many Supercoach points. And it's like, no, it's just not the case.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not pushing back.
No, he is a Bronco, so it is a sour taste in your mouth.
Oh, it's it hurts, but you know,
vinegar.
When he is in the side, Reece Walsh plays better.
100%. Yeah, and
he is the catnip to Reece Walsh. So
yeah, it's the band back together for that left edge.
Absolutely.
100%. All right, let's get into the bargain.
The battle of wits has begun.
Well, that's the way bargain basement works.
I'm very aroused.
Pick 71 to 110, rounds 8 to 11 in a 10-man league. We're looking at value here, and this is where I want to do my work. This is probably where I'm going to take a little look-see at the 5'8" filter during draft and just go, okay, who's left? You've highlighted everyone in green, so this is sort of your segment. Take it away.
I'm sure you will be chiming in on the last guy we'll talk about, but I figured the other guys you don't really care about. So, look, Cody Walker, I've got him as a boom this season. That 40 average from last year, I think he can eclipse that. All comes down to injuries. So Father Time has not been kind to him the last few seasons. He's definitely had some time off with his hemis, his calves. everything under the sun. So, look, the body has been failing him. He's, 35, 36? This is probably the last time around for him.
You would think so, yeah.
He had one try out of 11 games last season. He's better than that. Had 1.2 try involvements per game last season. He's also better than that. You look at the change in structure of the team, that left edge where he'll be lining up is just gone through the roof. So I think you can conservatively put 15 points on his average. The only concern is the Bunnies at the start of the season have one of the worst strength of schedules known to man. So classic. I'm finding it hard to keep him in my side, just on the basis of point scoring potential. But he will have some growth in his 399K. So yeah, he's definitely one that I'm looking at this season. But yeah, if you do pick him up, you have to have some bloody injury cover.
Yep, 100%. I mean, it is low-hanging fruit with that 41 being a boom. He will beat that 100%. The only thing that I am worried about, Cody Walker, and when I say worried, you're not too worried because you're picking him up in rounds 10 probably. So you know what you're getting when you're picking a 5'8" up in round 10. Not a lot, right? But what I am worried about is he will be one pass away from the big points, especially with Latrell Mitchell playing center. So the try assists will turn into try contributions a lot of the time because he'll just be dishing it on to Latrell, and Latrell will be putting on some silky cutout balls out to AJ on the wing. So, but again, that might happen a lot. So those try contributions can start adding up, and it won't take much of those try contributions adding up to beat that 41. But again, like you said, it's the injuries that are a big worry. Obviously, he had 2 massive stints on the sideline for 2025, only played 11 games. But again, you're spending a late pick, so you know what you're getting into. It's not like you're spending overs. You know what the no is here. And like you said, maybe get some cover just in case.
No, exactly. Yeah.
All right, bro. You might as well go again.
Recycle. Look, I've got Jakey Clifford as a bust, but look, realistically, because he may not even be starting this season, I might have to change that across, and Fletcher Sharp gets the nod there as a bust. But look, I don't think he ends up lining up this season. I think Jackson Purdy will win the spot. So he's definitely one that I would personally be excluding from my pre-draft list, just in case, God forbid, there's a accidental auto pick at the back end of the draft, which has
very,
happened,
very
which
true.
has happened.
And it's funny because you talk to any Cowboys fan and they want Jake Livy because the team plays better with him in the side.
No, absolutely. I don't disagree with any of that. But look, would it be the first time that the coaches made those sort of bonehead calls?
No. Well, it's more likely that he does just leave Jake Clifford out.
100%.
Yep. That's true. My sleeper for the 5'8" position is Jonah Pezzett. Not a lot of sort of good Supercoach data to go through here to lean on, but the kid definitely passes the eye test, especially his long kicking game and putting Storm in good spots when he was playing for the Storm.
Yep.
If you look at his QRL stats for the Falcons in 2025, 4 games, 4 dropouts, 3 assists, 3 offloads. So there were some attacking stats there. 2024 for the Tigers, 3 games, 3 assists, 4 offloads. So he does have a little bit about him. It's not huge, but he obviously can perform. NRL in 2025, round 24, he played 82 minutes. Round 25, 34 minutes. Round 26, 48 minutes. So in the time that he played there, not a lot, but 3 assists and 2 line breaks. Not bad. Had an assist in 2 out of the 3 games he played in the NRL in 2024. So the averages aren't sexy, but his involvement is there. Now he's coming into an Eels team where Moses will run everything. I wouldn't be surprised if Moses runs both sides of the ruck. That just means Pezzett will have 0 responsibility and 0 pressure to do anything. That just means he's playing feel-free footy. Do what you want. Tuck the ball and run, kick for space, grub her in behind the line. So I guess the big thing for me is the Broncos passed on Kobe Black for this kid.
Yeah.
Why? Why did they do that? That's the huge question here, because Kobe Black is the fucking messiah, the next thing, the next big thing. Why did the Broncos pass on him to get Jonah Pezzett? That intrigues me. That gets me going. I'm like, oh, there's got to be something here. And if you pick up Jonah Pezzett in round 12, which is likely when you can get him, maybe he strings together a 50 average for the season. Yeah. And you're like, wow, I didn't spend a fucking dime on this cunt. And away we go.
The only real concern that I've got is the whole classic chat. That is like, he's gone from like a round 14, 15 player to then having to go round 11, round 12. I don't love it when we haven't seen consistent scoring from him in the past. Like his base power has been quite low in the small sample size we've got to work from. And
I think that's why people won't trust it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Like people will trust it in classic because like it's an easy money making move. But for draft, it's like, why would I pick this guy? There's nothing to him.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit, especially when you start looking at the Eels' strength of schedule. Now, we obviously love Jaden Campbell's strength of schedule, and he's obviously got the potential, the caliber, the skill to back that strength of schedule up with some really good scores. But, I mean, Jonah Pezzett's strength of schedule is pretty good as well. Round 25, grand final strength of schedule here for that series. We've got Eels, the best strength of schedule. Jonah Pezzett, the best strength of schedule for left halves. Round 26 final system, Eels have the second best. Jonah Pezzett has the third best for left halves. Round 27 final system, Eels have the fifth best. Jonah Pezzett has the best strength of schedule. So out of two out of three systems there, he has the best strength of schedule amongst left halves. So yeah, I think he's a great sleeper, and he fits the mold for me for someone that will cost me nothing, that may work out.
Yeah.
And nothing, and really will cost me nothing. He might even be a bench spot. He might even be fucking a pick 12.
Yeah. In our league, we've only got 14. Look, I don't push back on that at all. I do think he's an intriguing person to have a stab at this season, because look, he can play with a bit of reckless abandonment because he's not at the club next season. He goes to the Broncos. Yeah. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. I'm going to talk about two guys, and I'm going to talk about them at the same time because both of them I have absolutely zero interest in bringing into my side this season. They are Jerome Luai and Tricky Trindle. Both I love to watch because I think they're fantastic players. From a Supercoach perspective, I have had some absolute fucking nightmares with. So never going in my side again. Neither of them. Look, Braden Trindle, he had a massive drop-off in his involvement last season.
What a sad day this is, hey? Tricky Trindle is your boy.
I do like a bit of Tricky Trindle, and that's what I said. Like, he's fantastic to watch. I think I'm not going to say he's a better half than Nico, but I think he's a better half back. Nico's obviously got the Daly M award. Look, the way he was playing, he could have played at fullback and got that award. He was just unreal. I think Nico Hines is a better footballer, but yeah, I think just the way that Tricky Trindle can run the side and everything else, yeah, it's just not Supercoach porn because he ends up dropping like 20s, 15s at times. It's just horrible.
I don't like him.
And then Jerome
Never liked him.
And then Jerome Luai. I think there's not going to be a drop off. Mate, how far lower than a 47 can you go?
How low can you go?
Yeah, he's never been on our radar, to be honest. So it is again low hanging fruit for a no fucking way.
Fair, very fair. Na hey, goodbye to poor old Tricky Trindle. Before we move on to the Hail Mary picks, Sandon Smith, we talked about him in the Hooker podcast, but as we sort of keep going through these position analysis, Sandon Smith keeps coming up again and again because of his duel, because of the talk about him kicking goals. Obviously, looks like he will line up at halfback for the night. So, and again, at this 5'8" position with that duel, and it happened for me last year. That's why I was so big on Sandon, was because you could have him at hooker and 5'8". And God almighty, did that come in handy for me in both positions. So I'm coming fresh off a season where I have actual real life experience that duel for that exact player came in handy multiple times throughout the season. So that sort of value needs to come in to your consideration when you draft players, because it really did get me out of a few binds. I had James Kay go down with an injury. Bang, he goes into hooker. I had Jaden Campbell go down in the 6th spot. Boom, Sandon Smith moves into that spot. It really did help me a lot. So I'm looking heavily at Sandon Smith and where I can get him for value, just because he is going to be Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah. I like zero pushback, because I'm looking at that list, and the two things that stand out to me are the two duels, and the two duels are in the butter zone for this position.
Yep.
It's where we've got to be doing our work.
Yeah. And like, just because how fucking disgusting this position is, you might as well wait, get a guy late, and get a guy late that has a duel.
Totally.
Great strategy. All right, let's get Hail Mary out of the way, and there's not much to talk about here.
Hail Mary time here, 4 seconds.
We're going to bet it all.
You son of a bitch. I'm in.
Lots of backup guys here. Luke Brooks, he might as well be on both. No fucking ways. He won't be touched.
Yep.
Jaden Sullivan, obviously backup role. We've got King Tonga, where will he be? Who knows? Billy Walters, he's injured. Tyron Wishart, I did mention him earlier as a late pickup, just because he's got 5 players there that could get injured and he can come in and play a role. Jack Cole, Heath Mason, Jack Cogger, Joash Papali'i, Hugo Savala. Cole Flanagan, though, I thought I'd mention him because he's the only guy on this list that I would probably take. 50 average in 2025. He played 24 games, so durable. He had a pure base of 24. It's good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's really good. Only had 7 assists. You could say, he adds a little bit there with those assists. Likely to line up on that left edge where the Dragons scored 60% of their tries in 2025. Maybe for a guy that you can pick up rounds 12 to the back end, we're talking picks 110 plus. No one's picking this cunt up. And if you pick him up this late and he does what he does last year and averages 50, I'm so happy with that.
Yeah. And especially
happy.
Especially if this is a position that you have just ignored as well.
For sure. So I thought he was definitely someone that should be, because I don't think anyone's looking at him or wanting to get him or anything. But if I'm picking him up really late, like if I look up and I go, yep, I've done exactly what I said I was going to do, and I left hooker and 5'8" to very last. There is no hookers there. Kyle Flanagan's there. Yep, in you come, pal. Just get me a 50. Just get me a 50. And there is a chance that he can beat that 50. Only 7 assists. That's pretty low. That's pretty low for probably the dominant half, with Atkinson coming in for sure. So I just thought he should be mentioned because for a late pick, it could be a nice little savior. Kyle Flanagan, the savior.
Yeah. I mean, the other guy that had a real cracker of a back end of the season last year was Billy Walters, but obviously he's coming off an ACL, so I wouldn't be touching him.
No.
So.
No.
Yep. Moving
Wouldn't
on.
touch anyone else in this fucking list, let's be honest. All right, let's move on. Let's get into the happy ending.
You want happy ending?
I got a booty. Let me break it down for you so you understand. I'll hold your hand like a small child. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Fuck yeah.
All right, you can kind of guess what the 5'8" strategy is going to be, but we will reiterate that for you anyway. Wooker, take it away.
Yeah, so 2025, 5'8" made up only 12%. So there was only 12 in the top 100 averaging players with at least 15 games played. 8 of those 12 sat in the back of 50. So from 50 to 100, 51 to 100. Only 7 of those 12 averaged over 60. So, and a fair few of those have lost the dual position. So 10 duels from 2025 have lost their 5'8" status. Only 5 players have gained 5'8". So there's a 5-player drop-off already. We've lost a number of duels, and I've mentioned this across fucking every position. But the fact that we've only got 2 serviceable duels in this list is something that means that we need to take it pretty serious. Fucking halfback's fucked for it, but there's at least 2 options at 5'8", and I think that you need to make a priority at certain times in the draft to keep a monitor on Jackson Purdue and Sandon Smith, because they will have value in this draft. 100%.
They really are the diamonds in the rough, Purdue and Sandon Smith in this list, aren't they?
No,
the more
definitely.
that I think about it, the more I sort of want to get one of these guys, and hopefully get them late where it makes sense to draft them. I'm not reaching for any of these 2 cunts. Don't get twisted, but it makes sense to get these guys because the value lies within their jewel. So, and I mean, just outlined it there there was actually more 5'8" in the top 100 than halfback, but they just performed heaps worse. They all performed worse than the halfbacks.
Yeah. The fact that there was only 12 in the top 100 and 8 of those sat in the back 50. Like, Jesus. Like, you only had 4 in the top 50. And that's where we really started off saying that the quality in the 5'8" position compared to halfback, it's just massive drop off.
And almost half, almost half didn't even make the 60 average.
Yeah, exactly.
Disgusting.
So yeah, it is a position that you can and should wait for. It's a position that I'm not really looking at until I get past at least round 4, so pick 40 odd. Yeah, I think that's where I'll be doing my work. About pick 40 plus is where I'll be starting to dip in and monitor some of these 5'8s. Any earlier, and you're really sacrificing those high ceiling, high end positions, like your fullbacks, your center wings, your 2 RFs, halfback. You want to have at least one of each of those before you start looking at your 5'8. 100%.
Yeah, and when you can lump hooker and 5'8 together, only 3 hookers managed over 60 plus average, and then you've only got 7 of the 12 in the top 100 5'8s that averaged over 60. So not only is there just fuck all depth, but neither position can perform. It's just not a successful Supercoach position coming into 2026, and that's why we're so low on it. There's not enough of them about, and the ones that are there aren't doing the damn thing anyway. So forget them. Just forget them altogether. Sandon Smith, down you come again, mate. Put that red and black on, please. I hope you still got it in your kit bag. Do you want another championship? Come back to the Bros, brother.
Here we go.
All right, let's get into our boom bust sleeper.
I wanted you to see these player evaluations.
What's wrong with Cal?
I think he's a bust.
I mean, the guy has hammies that could literally pull a car.
Righto, booms. My boom, like I mentioned earlier, Matt Burton coming off that 57 average. At the very least, I think he averages 60. That's 3 points of value there. But honestly, I think he can, even without the goal kicking, string together a 62, 63 average. And if somehow he clams the goal kicking back off Critter, then maybe a 68, 69, maybe a 70 as well. And when you look at those percentages, when you dial in on those statistics, it's not clear that Critter should be the goal kicker, which it's sort of a little bit sort of baffles me. So one to watch there with Matty Burton, but I do think he beats last year's average.
Yeah, it's a good bit of chat that you had earlier about the potential knee injury being a key factor for him giving up the goal kicking. My boom is Cody Walker. Look, that 40 average, it's massive unders for the capability that he has, even from an injury-affected season. It was a factor of the Bunnies just having injuries left, right, and centre. They didn't have any solidity in the team. But you have a look in the preseason this year, Dave Fifita, I saw a video of him today. He's looking like a fucking winger. He is fit and firing. That left edge is going to be humming, and I think Cody Walker, he'll have his fingerprints over a lot of it. But just be mindful that he will come with some injury issues. So have some backup if you do go down that.
Nice, bro. Hitting off the women's tee with Cody Walker there. Nice little hit.
As are you with Matty Burton at a 57 average last season.
Cody Walker's 41 average, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I'm hitting off the men's tee, pal. Don't worry about that. Bust. Let's get into Ezra Mam. Looks like you're from the women's tee here again, and you bust. Ezra Mam, yeah, he won't reach that 60 average.
I had Jake Clifford.
Jake Clifford. Okay, is he going to play NRL?
Well, and that's why I'm adjusting. I'm adjusting. So this is these are all fluid.
He's picking his ball up. He might be taking it back to the men's tee here.
Nah, in fairness, like I did this probably about a month ago. So this was before we had some more certain advice that Purdue was going to play in the halves. Let's go Fletcher Sharp as a fall away. So I think that it's going to be increasingly difficult to match a 75 average. So, look, I think that's definitely a bit of a fall away. If not, Ethan Strange is another one that I think has the potential to either go large or to miss that 62 average from last season.
Yep, nice. Yeah. What's his name? Sharp, not meeting a 75 average on the wing. You're going to come swim in the adults pool, or are you going to still just wade around in the kiddies pool? Take the floaties off, bro. All right, let's get into sleepers here. Jonah Pizzette. I mean, it's going to take a bit for him to wake up. He's very sleepy. He is snoring, but I think where I want to take my 5'8", he's right there. He's definitely very late. And if he can scrape together, even with like where I'm thinking of picking Jonah Pizzette, even if he gets a 45 average, I'm probably going to be happy with that. So it's more just passing the eye test for Jonah Pizzette. And like I said earlier, and this resonated with you as well, Wooker, why did the Broncos pick him up?
No,
I'm just very intrigued.
Why did they let Kobe Black go to pick him up?
Exactly, yeah. And that's intriguing.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
For me, my sleeper, I was tossing up between the guy I've picked and Jackson Purdue. I've gone with Brumo just because there's something about it that I think like he's had a little bit of a taster with the position. If he does end up in the halves, this could be a career year for him. He just has that type of play in him, backing up and everything else. So look, the 66, it's a hard one to get over, but I think he can easily get to a 70, 75 average in the right conditions. And they're going to be an attacking side, we know that. So yeah, he's a bit of a sleeper for me.
And I just think he slips anyway, AJ Brimson. He just seems to slip every draft. People have a bad taste in their mouth. Like I have a bad taste in my mouth about AJ Brimson, and I don't know why. And I think a lot of people are the same. No, I just look at him and just go, nah, someone else can have him. But I feel like that is the case for a lot of people in drafts. Is like no one sort of wants to pick him up, so he does tend to slip to where there's a lot of value when you pick him. So I do, and that strength of schedule in the finals.
It's just outrageous. Like to start the season, at the end of the season, like mate, just get him over here. I want to buff him.
Yep, get him up here. All right, let's get into our no fucking ways.
No fucking way. No, I'm not working with this guy. I've been there, done that.
And I refuse to let you take this guy. I've picked him every single year in my no fucking way at 5'8", and that's Jerome Luai. You can't have him. I pick him every year.
I was gonna pick out of three guys anyway, so you can have Jerome Luai, and I'll have Tricky Trindle and Luke Brooks.
Yeah, Luke Brooks is definitely on the list for me as well. But Jerome Luai, at that point in the season where I had to have him, honestly,
you felt dirty when you did it.
Physically ill having him, and then watching him and wanting him to do well was a weird paradox, different multiverse for me, and I hated it. And then I went, you know what? I'll just take the AE. This isn't fun. So never again. I definitely won't. No, I'll never fucking draft him. And look, I'll never pick him up again. It was too weird. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Luke Brooks as well. No bueno.
Yeah, Brooksy. I mean, like there could be a bit of an uptick with DC moving on and Fogarty coming in. So it is one to have a bit of a look in trials just to see how their attacking shapes are looking.
Turbo's just going to like stiff arm him. You just get out of the way, pal. I'm the 6 and I'll be running this left edge. Get out of the way, son.
Just get ready to defend the next set.
Yeah. If this ball goes to ground, you jump on it. All right, that's 5-8 done and dusted. We're gonna love you and leave you, but if you want to listen to our exclusive rub down, that backroom rub where some dirty things happen, we won't talk about it here because it's all hush hush. But we will be rubbing down Blaze Talungi, and I've already forgotten who I'm doing. DCE,
mate, come on.
DC's poor DC, poor Dally. In there waiting for me, and I've forgotten his name. But God, I'm out here rubbing everyone down. I can't remember everyone's fucking names. They're all just bodies to me.
Aren't they just? Fucking hell, you're atrocious.
Oh God. Anything to add before we get out of this atrocious podcast?
Nah, I think we've said enough. Probably more than we wanted to about 5-8s.
I knew we'd go an hour and a half. You didn't think we would. I knew we would. It's just what we do.
There's one guy that we didn't touch on, but we'll talk about him in the other pod.
Okay. Ooh, I like the tease. Fucking stop it, Wooker. Hey, your podcast sensibilities on fucking flex there.
I almost did it, but nah.
Stay tuned to Wooker's secret player. All right, let's get out of here. There are many things a man can do with his time.
And this is better than those things.
Damn right, Wooker. Catch us next round on the weekly rub down.
You can take me now. I have seen it all.
Get that India.
Ta-ta!